Yo, what's up guys, it's me, Jake here. Now you might be noticing a little bit of an angle change. I just got a tripod and a ring light. As you can tell, the lighting's probably a lot better than it used to be, and the quality is probably nicer looking. So yeah, I'm also going to say sorry that I'm delaying the 500 sub special. It's going to be next week. I have a lot of stuff planned for it, and I don't know what I should do for it, so I already have what I want to do. I just need to have the idea for the video, so I'm really sorry that I'm actually just postponing it. But I hope you guys had a really happy holidays, and I hope you guys have a happy new year, and let's just get straight into the video. So, today's video is going to be a top 10 things I've read this year. Now, I've read quite a bit, but the beginning of 2020, I didn't read too much, like the first month or two, because of one series that helped me. Now, I'm not going to get into that for a while now, but to start off this, we're going to start off with number 10, which is Blue Flag. Now, if you've not yet read Blue Flag, it's a really good romance drama. I think I have this on almost every top 10 video I've made. It's a really amazing series with really amazing artwork, a really amazing characters, and an amazing story. Now, I'm going to show you guys some panels from this. I'm probably going to be kind of trying to show off good panels, not like that, but I really like the main character of Taichi. He isn't just like some crybaby. He really does develop, and he's a really good character, and I really do just like the cast around him. I definitely do highly suggest this if you're going to want to get into like a romance, because this is like a more shonen type romance, less of a shoujo type romance, but it's really good. There's a lot of really good drama in here. It's not just some random drama thrown out there. It's a lot of really well done drama, so I really do highly suggest this. And I think this is only going to be 8 volumes. I think we have 5 volumes out right now in English. I'm only on volume 4. I think I'm 1 or 2 volumes behind. It's only going to be 8, so it's going to be a pretty short series, but I definitely highly recommend Blue Flag. And yeah, let's get into the next series. Okay, I kind of forgot synopsis for that series, so I'm just going to say it right now. Basically, Taichi and his friend Toma used to be friends when they were younger, but kind of split apart for some random reason, and now they are in the 3rd year high school class together, and then they kind of reconnect and become friends again, until a girl named Kuze shows up and asks Taichi how she can get with Toma. So it's mostly a story about how Taichi can help Kuze get with Toma, and then her friend Itachi shows up, and a lot of drama happens with that, and it's a really well done series. I really highly recommend Blue Flag. So yeah, let's just get into the next series. Sorry I forgot synopsis, but yeah, let's just get on. So the next series is a series that you might know I talk about this manga a bit, but I do really enjoy the series. I really think it's amazing. Now, I know some of you might say, wow, main character young, yada yada yada, fan servicey, get it, yes. But I do think that this series is amazing. It is 38 volumes. I'm missing 1 volume. That is Negima by Ken Akamatsu. Now, I really enjoy Negima. Sorry if there's a little bit of a glare. That's good. I really do enjoy Negima. I think it's a really great story. It is very long with 38 volumes, but the art is well done, just like every Ken Akamatsu work. The character design is just like every Ken Akamatsu work as well. And I know what you might be saying, what is Negima about? Why would you read it? The reason I actually got into Negima is actually because it's the predecessor to UQ Holder. Now, it doesn't have like a lot of tie-ins, I don't think, to UQ Holder, but I do know it's a predecessor to it. And if you want a little bit of a synopsis for Negima, basically there's this 9-year-old boy named Negi Springfield who lives in England, and he wants to become I think it's called a Magi Magister, if I'm not mistaken. He wants to become a Magister, and to do that, he has to complete a task he is given, and he is given a task to become a teacher. So he becomes an English teacher in Japan because of his headmaster knowing someone in Japan who does like a principal job. And this school is an all-girls school, and he's a 9-year-old, almost 10-year-old, it's said quite a bit, teaching a class how to learn English. And it's not just that, there's also, he does know magic, and it is kind of like a magic kind of series as well. I think that later on, I haven't fully read this yet. I think at volume 28, because I'm missing 29. I don't know if I'm missing 28 or 29 right now. I'm up to the one where right before I'm missing one. But yeah, I really do enjoy the series. There is a time skip, and I really do suggest this if you're into any kind of Akamatsu works like Love Hina or UQ Holder. But if you're into UQ Holder, you probably know Negima, and you probably almost always, all of you probably have read it if you're into UQ Holder. So I'm just trying to finish this before I can get more into UQ Holder, because I've only read 3 volumes. But yeah, I know I'm rambling on about this one series, so I'm just going to move on. So yeah, let's get into the next one. Moving on to number 7. This is a series that most of you probably think I would put on here, and probably know I would put on here. And that is Spy X Family or Spy Family. Now, if you don't know, I'm a huge fan of Spy Family. I think it's an amazing series. I think the art is amazing, the characters are great, and I love the comedy in this series. I think this comedy is really well done, and it's not wordy that much at all. The art, I just can't get over the art. It's really more of an art-focused comedy, which is something I really do enjoy, and I really do like the concept of this. Basically, we have a guy, I think his name is like Lloyd Forager, is his like spy name, like his name he has to use on this mission. And basically, he has to create a family to get close into his target, and he adopts this daughter named Anna, who is a telepath, and he gets married to this girl who is an assassin. Now, it's just a like kind of wholesome slice of life series, and it's very good. It's a very good series. I highly recommend it. And they're not telling each other that they are these things. Like, none of the family knows that he's a spy. Well, I think his name is like Nighthawk or something. Midnight. His name is Midnight. Sorry, I completely just forgot his spy name because it's not said too much. But and then they don't know that Anna's a telepath, and they don't know that I always forget her name, is an assassin. But definitely highly recommend the series. Definitely really good. I'm really bad with names. If you don't know this, I'm very bad with names. I try my best. That's all I can say. But definitely highly suggest Spy Family. Amazing art, amazing volumes. It's probably not for everyone because it's more of a comedy series, and I really like the comedy in here. So I would definitely suggest picking up the first volume, seeing how you like it, then continuing it on. The second volume was pretty solid. The third volume is really just amazing as well. So I would say just definitely pick up the first volume and see how much you like it, because I really enjoy it, but not everyone does. So yeah, let's get on to the next series before I keep rambling on again, because you know I can ramble on for ages. Now, before I continue, there is going to be honorable mentions at around once I get into the top 3. So I'm not just going to say just all 10. I'm also going to give some honorable mentions. I'm going to breeze through those, though. I'm not going to just be like, here they are, here's the synopsis. I'm not going to take too much time on each one. I'm just going to do that. And also, I'm not including rereads in this as well. So if I reread it, I'm not counting it in this list. This is just my first time read list. So yeah, I just want to let that be known before I get on. And yeah, number 6 is Chainsaw Man. Now, I just got the second volume and just read it. It's amazing, bro. I love Chainsaw Man. It is an amazing series. I think Denji is a really amazing protagonist. He's just really interesting. And I think Power, I think her name's Makima, is pretty good at characters around him. I really can't wait to see where the story goes, because I really think there's a lot of things that this series can do. It's a pretty dark, gritty shonen, so if you're into that, then you'll probably like this series. But for a synopsis, basically, Denji is a like poor kid who has to work his butt off by hunting demons to get rid of his father's debt, and he has a pet named Pokita, and basically he gets sliced to bits by a bunch of demons by the demon hunter company he's working for, because they just backstab him, and Pokita fuses with them to make him a half man, half demon, and the half demon is a chainsaw demon, and basically he joins this public safety demon hunting company, and yeah, that's basically what happens, and he just goes on from there killing demons, and he meets another person like him named Power, and it's a really interesting read, so I highly suggest if you like gritty, dark shonen like Jujutsu Kaisen or anything of that nature, pick up Chainsaw Man. It's a really good read. It's probably not for everyone, so of course I would also say pick up the first volume. I know a lot of people don't like these spines, but I really do enjoy these spines. Hopefully you guys can see that without the glare. There we go. These spines are really good, so I hope you guys enjoy. And yeah, let's just move on to the next series. And just like I previously said of a dark, gritty shonen, the next one on my list is Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, if you don't know, I did pick this up in 2019, but I didn't actually read it until 2020. I read this when I got back into manga, because I got this right when I was getting out of manga. And then one series I'll talk about very later on got me back into manga, and this is a manga that also helped that after I finished that one. And I just love this series, bro. It's so good. The anime adaptation is a very good anime adaptation. I don't really love the anime's animation as much as the art, but I do think it's really good. It has some of my favorite characters in the New Age Shonen of Gojo, Fushiguro, and probably I would say Yuji's up there as well. Yuji's a really cool protagonist, and Sukuna as a kind of antagonist, protagonist kind of role is a really interesting mix of the ideological difference between Yuji and Sukuna. Is a really interesting take on that kind of demon inside of a human. It's a really great take on it, actually. And if you want a little bit of a synopsis, I'll put this here so you can read it, but I'll also say my own. Basically, Yuji is a very freakishly athletic kid, and he is in this occult club because he meets people when he goes into high school that he's friends with, and he gets into this occult club, and they find a finger and they unwrap it inside this like seal, and they unwrap that and the finger is out, and a bunch of demons come chasing after it because it is a special grade object. Now Fushiguro goes to try to capture it, but he is unsuccessful, and then Yuji and Fushiguro has to fight this pretty strong demon, and you cannot get cursed energy unless you eat a cursed object or if you're born with it, and Fushiguro is overpowered by this demon. So the way that Yuji actually decides to get his cursed energy is to eat the finger and have Sukuna kind of take over his body, but he found out he can actually control Sukuna and they can switch places. So that's where the story goes, and then he joins the Jujutsu High, and he just goes on from there, and we see him fight other demons. We see some very dark stuff. So yeah, if you're into more dark and gritty shonen, you'll probably like Jujutsu Kaisen. I made a video on it really early on my channel. I think it's called The Greatness of Jujutsu Kaisen. I think it's my second greatness of. I'll leave that in the link in the description below, but yeah, I'm just going to leave that as that, and I'll move on to the next series. Now, for the next series, you guys will probably be pretty surprised by it. It's probably one of the closest shonens I've seen to being in that seinen kind of demographic, and that is Hell's Paradise. Now, it's up there with like the Attack on Titans and shonens that could really be just seinens, and I think that Hell's Paradise is an amazing, amazing manga. The art is insanely good. The story is insanely interesting. I actually cannot show that panel that actually has spoilers, but the main character, bro, Gabimaru. I know I talked about to We Do Be Collecting Manga a bit about Gabimaru. I'll leave his link in the description below as well, but I think Gabimaru's the biggest Chad I've ever seen, one of them at least, and he always just says Gabimaru, Big Tao. It's kind of a spoiler, but not really, so I'm not really too focused on that. It's not really a huge spoiler at all, but basically Gabimaru was on his deathbed. He did a lot of crimes as a ninja, and he was about to get executed, but kept saving himself with his ninpo because there was something that was driving him to live, which I'm not going to say because that's actually kind of a spoiler for the first like 2 chapters, I think. And he actually is given the opportunity to go to this island and find the fruit of God, basically, which I think it's called the fruit of immortality, I think, actually, and it grants immortality to someone, and he's granted this as if he finds it and brings it back, all of his crimes will just be gone. Like, they'll just pretend like they never happened, and he's not the only one. A lot of other criminals have also been chosen to do this, and they also have a supervisor with them, and this island is very crazy. It really is just like so amazing, and just seeing how Gabimaru and his crew just go around this island is really interesting to read, and it's probably like one really good example that I think I've heard in the past. It's like post-eclipse Berserk as a shonen, but not with Guts as a protagonist. Like, that's a pretty good kind of explanation, kind of, but I really do think this is an amazing series. It's probably one of my favorite ongoing shonens currently, and I don't hear nearly as much praise for the series as I think it deserves. I think this series deserves so much praise, up there with the Jujutsu Kaisens and Chainsaw Mans. This is so good, and I highly, highly suggest it to those people that like more gory, gritty shonens. As you can tell, I like the more gory, gritty battle shonens, so that's probably going to be a lot of this list. But yeah, I definitely recommend Hell's Paradise. It's amazing. So yeah, let me just move on to the next series before I just ramble on about the series even more. Yeah, I just can't stop. Next up is a series I think every single one of you heard of. I think all of these but one for the last 4 you've probably heard of. And this one is probably the most recognizable, actually first or second most recognizable, and that's because it is One Punch Man. And if you don't know, this is a Loot Crate exclusive. I just like this cover more than the first original one and the San Diego Comic-Con one, but One Punch Man is amazing. It's such a great comedy manga, and it's not even just comedy. It actually has very many serious arcs that are really good as well. Saitama is an amazing protagonist, with Genos as his secondary, like, kind of side character, and like a secondary kind of protagonist that is also very, very amazing. I think all the characters in here are pretty great. Some of the antagonists are kind of forgettable because I think Boros is pretty good, but all like the random monsters that show up are not really great antagonist kind of roles. But I think it's a really good series. Yusuke Murata doing the art was a very great choice. I know how Yusuke Murata started deciding doing the art, but it's so good. I highly suggest this to anyone that likes Mob Psycho or anything of that sort, because this is so amazing. I think one as a mangaka by himself is an amazing mangaka. I think his work is really good with Mob Psycho and One Punch Man. They're both really amazing. I think both of them are finished as well in the webcomic, but I think we're just waiting to catch up with One Punch Man's art because it takes Yusuke Murata a while, but makes sense because if you look at the art, it really is amazing. He literally does like a 1-for-1 drawing from the webcomic, just way better, because if you don't know, the One Punch Man webcomic, it's a very bad drawn webcomic, but it's not the worst, but it definitely could be drawn better. But basically, if you for a synopsis of the series, we follow this guy named Saitama who is trained a pretty good amount throughout his life, who can basically one punch anything to the point where it's got boring for him, and there's a bunch of other characters that show up to try to oppose him, and he just wants to find that one battle that will really satisfy him, and that doesn't really show up. So it's just a really big comedic gag about that, and it's a really great series, so I highly suggest picking this up. I really do just love this series, so yeah, definitely pick this up if you can. I only have like the first 6 volumes, but I've read a lot of it on the Shonen Jump app, so you can also get it on there. So yeah, let's move on. Now, I didn't want to make the honorable mentions list too long, since now we're on the honorable mentions, so I just picked 5 series out that I really did enjoy, that I've either reread or I was continuing from 2019 from reading. So yeah, to start that off, I'm going to start off with Blue Exorcist. I really did enjoy Blue Exorcist this year. I thought the like 2 or 3 volumes we got were really amazing. I really do enjoy where it's going. Not like a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't really enjoy where it's going from what I've heard from Reddit, but I really do enjoy where it's going, and I think it's an amazing series. If you like more battle shonen and Exorcist series, I would definitely highly suggest this. This is one of the best Exorcist series I've read. Probably the second best one I've read. You're going to see another one later on. That's my first, but yeah, to move on, we also have Magi. I also have been rereading this. I think Magi is an amazing series. Definitely highly suggest it. It's one of the best political battle shonens I've ever read. There's some of the best characters in that as well, with Sinbad, Alibaba, Aladdin, Forgana. I think all of them are really amazing characters. Judar. There's a lot of amazing characters in Magi. I definitely highly suggest Magi as well. And third, we have another series that, if you know me, you know I love. It's tied at number 1 for my favorite series I've ever read. And this is also a reread. I think this is my 3rd reread, and that is One Piece. Yes, I've reread One Piece quite a bit, but I think One Piece is an amazing series. I think that if any of you haven't read or watched One Piece, I would definitely suggest reading it. It's definitely, yes, a long grind, but it's definitely worth the journey, because the journey these characters bring you on is something that is just so different from every other battle shonen. It's such an amazing series, and I definitely highly suggest anyone who likes battle shonen to please just check this out. Even if you just don't think you're gonna like it because it's so long, it's like this. If you like something, why won't you want it to be longer so you can just read more of it? It's so good, and I feel like that's just a perfect example of it. Next up on the honorable mentions, though, is another series that a lot of you probably know. It's also in my top 3, and that is Black Clover. Now, if you know me, I am a huge Black Clover fan. Yes, I did reread this year, and yes, I still think it's as good as I thought it was when I first read it. It's an amazing series, and I cannot praise it enough. I think this is one of the best ongoing battle shonens right now. It's not too gritty, it's not too dark, but it just is the perfect amount of everything. Yes, the first 3 volumes are pretty trash, I will admit. They are pretty bad, but after that, it really does pick up and become a really good, amazing series, so I highly suggest picking this up if you can. Next up, and last on our honorable mentions, is actually a series that I made a video on in the past called The Greatness of Twin Star Exorcist. Now, I'm going to leave that link in the description below, but I really do think Twin Star is underappreciated and underhyped. No one really talks about it, but it is really great. Now, I think the pre-time skip in this series is not amazing, but it is pretty good. But once you get into the time skip, it is one of the best battle shonens I've read. Yes, the chapters do come out monthly, so the volumes also do come out slowly, but it is in its final arc currently. So I definitely think that you can probably pick this up and start reading it pretty slowly here and there, and you'll probably catch up by the time that the manga ends. But this is going to still be serializing for a while, because I think we're like 1 or 2 volumes behind. So yeah, I definitely suggest picking this up if you're into Exorcist series. This is also another dark, gritty shonen. There is a lot of violence and a lot of gore in the series, so please be warned. I definitely do suggest this if you ever want a gritty Exorcist series. So yeah, off the honorable mentions, now let's just get into my top 3. Now, at number 3 is a series that I think I've never heard anyone talk about before me. Now, I've already said this on the Raku Otaku podcast before, and I've already talked about this series in a couple videos, so I'll leave those in the links in the description below as well. And that is Itsuwara Bito. Now, I think is so good. I don't know how nobody knows of it. Now, the first little bit of an arc is definitely good, but not nearly as good as what it turns into. So yeah, I think it's amazing. The art's amazing. The fights are really well choreographed, and the characters are really well written. I love how Utsuo develops. I love how he just fights by lying. And I like how the power system really just relies on lying. It isn't really a power system. It's just outwitting your opponent. So that's something that I really do enjoy. It's like kind of like a psychological battle shonen. So if you really like those two genres, I would definitely suggest this. Now, if you want a little bit of a kind of synopsis, Utsuo had a pretty hard life, and he's a liar. And Itsuwarbito, by the way, before I get into the rest, is someone that lies for their own benefits, kind of like a bandit. And basically, Utsuo in his orphanage village kind of is the only survivor because someone betrayed the orphanage village and killed everyone in it. And the kind of owner of the village, the one he called Old Man, had one goal, and that was to save 1,000 people. So then Utsuo took that upon himself to save 1,000 people with good lies. Now that is a pretty good synopsis, in my opinion, of what the series is, and the characters you meet along the way of like Yakuma, Pochi, Nea, and Hikai, and all of them are just so amazing, and I really do like the chemistry between these characters and this cast. I do think it's an amazing series, and I highly suggest picking it up. And that's definitely the beginning of it, but later on it goes into more like kind of fantasy elements, but not too hard into the fantasy elements, like someone can see the future or something. Like, not something like, oh, there's a huge dragon. Like, it's nothing too much, but it's a very good series. So I highly suggest picking this up if you're into gritty battle shonen, because if you can't tell, this year I've read a lot of dark, gritty battle shonens, and this is definitely a very gory one. But yeah, I also really like the antagonist and the twists and turns that are along the way of the series. So if you like that kind of story, I would definitely suggest picking it up. It is pretty long as well with 23 volumes, but it is completely over. And the second, fifth, and sixth volume are pretty hard to find. It's not on Right Stuff, but they're on Amazon for cheap anyway, so you can probably just find them on there, or eBay and Mercari. You can find them for pretty cheap. I got my first 7 for like 35 bucks. There usually always is a deal for the first like 6 or 7, so you should be fine for picking this up. But yeah, so I'm just gonna move on to the next series because I have a lot more to talk about. Okay, so number 2, the series that I got just purely off an East Coast manga video. I'll also leave his link in the description as well, and that is one of my favorite reads ever, Ajin. Now, Ajin is amazing. I love how the characters develop. I love the ideological battles between the antagonist and protagonist. I think it's just amazingly written. Now, the art is really well drawn as well. It does very drastically change through volume 1 to like volume 2 or 3. I will say it's a very big drastic difference in art, but it's a better drastic difference. It makes Kay look more like a really cool Chad. And yeah, I really do enjoy this. Now, if you want a kind of a synopsis, basically, there's these things in this world called demi-humans, which are kind of like humans, but they're immortal. So you can just kill them as many times as you want. They'll just regenerate. And you don't know you're a demi-human until you die. And that's when people just try and find you, because the government said that you'll get like 10 million in the end if you hand in a demi-human, and they will experiment on them. So then we find out, because of Truck-san getting another kill, or thinking he got another kill, unlike every isekai, this guy comes back to life as an immortal demi-human, and that's Kei Nagai, our protagonist. And he is a very smart kid who just studied in his room basically his whole life to become the best doctor he ever could be, but now he is getting hunted because he's a demi-human, and we just see his struggles of trying to survive in this very harsh environment. Now, this is a very good psychological, dark, gritty, I don't know if it's a shonen or seinen. I would definitely think it's a seinen because of how much gore is kind of in it, but I do think Sato is an amazing antagonist, and the ideological battle between Sato and Kei Nagai is one of the best psychological things I've ever seen. I think that's one of the best ideological battles I've seen as well. It's such a well-written story. It's so fast-paced, and there's always something happening. So I definitely suggest picking this up. It is very expensive, but on Right Stuff I think it's $8 per volume, so that's a pretty good price for something that goes for usually around $13 per volume retail. So I would definitely suggest picking this up. But another thing that brings it down is it does come out pretty slow. I think it takes like 6 months for a volume to come out. That's very annoying, but it is so good and so much worth it. So I just definitely suggest picking this up. Now, for number 1, and also tie number 1 in my favorite manga ever, Berserk. Now, I've read Berserk very early 2020, and that was because I picked it up in 2019, but I didn't read it till 2020, and it really helped me get out of a manga and anime slump. I stopped reading and watching all anime and manga for a very long time until I picked up Berserk randomly. Like, I started reading it randomly, and I just couldn't stop. I read the Golden Age arc in a day, and I read the rest of it in like a matter of like a week or so. So I definitely suggest, if you're into seinen, please pick this up. It's so worth it. I know there is hiatuses up the wazoo, but it's so worth it. This series is one of the best things that has ever written, and I think it's just one of the best protagonists ever with Guts. I think Guts is my favorite character of all time because he is such well written and has such great development throughout all of Berserk that I think it just makes it so worth it to read. And I think that a lot of people say that there can't be an ending to Berserk because of someone being just completely overpowered, but I actually have a theory on how it might end. From basically the first 4 volumes alone, something happens that I think that can really make it end, but I'm not going to spoil it, I'm not going to say anything, but I definitely do highly suggest this to anyone who likes any seinen because the art is so amazing. I'm going to try to show panels that, you know, won't get me, like, in trouble with YouTube, but God, I really love Berserk. I cannot stop talking about Berserk whenever I'm suggesting it to people. I also completely just, like, told Lee to be collecting manga a lot about Berserk, not, like, spoiling it, but, like, why he would like it, because I know he would like it as well, but I think this is an amazing series. Basically, for a synopsis, here's one right here, and basically, right now, it's really just Guts' struggling simulator. You might think Guts is super strong and super powerful, but in reality, compared to the rest of the world he is in, he is very weak. And a lot of dark stuff happens to Guts, and you just see him get back up and say, F the world, I am trying to survive my own way. And that's just basically what Berserk is about. It's just about seeing Guts struggle and seeing how he keeps going, and seeing how he just takes that infinite amount of struggles and still survives. It's so interesting to see that, and seeing how he develops is amazing as well. So now, I think I'm done with this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please hit that like and subscribe button, or if you like my content, please follow my socials on Instagram or Twitter. If you like otakus talking about anime and manga, please go listen to the podcast. The link's in the description below. Yeah, I hope you guys had a very happy holidays. Thank you so much for 500 subs, and I hope you guys have a happy new year, and I hope I see you guys next time. Peace!